Peace. I'm your girl Cosmic Paradox. And here on Cosmic Paradox channel, we break down occult symbolism that's hidden in plain sight. And today we are getting into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And it's not all what you think it is, but it's actually one of the most heavily occult encoded things that you're going to see on TV. And the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles isn't just about mutant turtles and pizza. It's about the ooze as well. And the ooze is one of the most powerful occult symbols in the entire story. In this breakdown, I'm going to show you how the ooze is really the prima materia of alchemy, how the sewer is your subconscious, and why pizza is a symbol of your fragmented soul, and how all of this ties back to ancient wisdom.
Yo, welcome to the Cosmic Paradox channel. Like, subscribe, and share.
So let's start where the turtle lives, right? Let's look at the setting, which is the sewer. Now, they don't dwell in the light of the city or in the clean order of the skyscrapers. They live underground, below, in the filth, right? It's not random. The sewer is the underworld, the shadow realm. It's the place where society flushes away what it doesn't want to see. And spiritually, we do the same. We bury shame, fear, grief, and anger in our subconscious. That is our inner sewer. This isn't just a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle gimmick, it echoes ancient myths. Plato spoke of the cave, where humanity sees only shadows and must climb out to reach truth. In Egypt or in Kemet, the Duat is the underworld where every soul is tested, not as punishment, but as initiation. Even in Sumer, Inyana descends into the underworld, stripped of her power, only to be reborn through surrender. The message is clear. All true initiation begins in darkness. This is the reason why in Jesus' allegory, Jesus was born in a stable, right? In alchemy, the first phase is called the negrito, the blackening. Everything must decay, dissolve, rot in the black before it can be reborn. So the sewer is your negrito. The shadow is your blackening. Paradoxically speaking, the filth that you reject is actually the gold that you see. What you've buried becomes the material of transformation. So let's get to the ooze because every alchemist knew that transformation begins with the prima materia, a chaotic, formless substance, strange, impure, and alive. That's exactly what the ooze is. It's not holy, not clean. It's toxic, glowing chaos, but it is also the spark of new life. Each of us has our own ooze moment. Maybe it came as trauma, the heartbreak, the betrayal, the abuse, the loss. Maybe it came as awakening, the sudden kundalini surge, the mystical rupture, the psychedelic vision. Either way, it's too much energy for the old self to contain. It mutates you. Once you've been touched by your ooze, you can never go back. So the question is, what do you do with it? You can let it distort you, which is feeding the shadow, ego, destruction, or you can transmute it, like the turtles. Strange, yes, but powerful, intentional, alive with purpose. This is the magnum opus of alchemy, turning chaos into order, filth into gold, ooze into illumination. And here's the deeper key. In the African esotericism, the ooze is basically melanin, the real prima materia of the human temple. Biologically, melanin absorbs and transduces light. Occultly, it is the dark matter of the body, linked to the pineal, to dreaming, to spiritual sight. Metaphysically, melanin is the womb of creation itself. Just like the ooze, it has been demonized and feared, yet it holds infinite potential. Trauma, kundalini, ancestral memory, they're encoded in melanin. It is the biological shadow archive, the divine chaos that once awakened changes how you see and experience reality. The ooze in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is really an echo of the mystical black substance already within you. You know, that the black goo. Your task, like theirs, is to decide if it becomes poison or power. See, the turtle doesn't walk the path alone. They also have April. Now, at first glance, she's just a reporter, human ally. But symbolically, she is Sophia or Shekinah, the feminine bridge. Without April, the turtles would stay hidden underground. She brings their story into the light. That is the role of Sophia, divine wisdom descending into matter, carrying sparks of truth through shadow. We see this feminine bridge in African traditions and cosmology as well. Mommy Water, Yemia, Aset or Isis, right? These are all figures who move between worlds, carrying messages, healing, and abundance from the unseen to the seen. April is their echo. So she reminds us shadow without Sophia is hidden, silent potential. Shadow with Sophia becomes revelation and integration. Truth must be spoken. So understand Sophia represents wisdom. Now, then there's the pizza. The turtle's obsession isn't random, it is symbolic. The pizza whole is the monad, the indivisible source described by Pythagoreans and Gnostics. When whole, it is divine unity. When it is sliced, it is fragmentation. Each piece still carrying the essence of the whole, but no slice alone is the one. If you think about it, you always get pizza in slices. You don't get pizza whole. Of course, if you make the pizza, is whole, but you very seldom will see a pizza whole. It's always sliced. This is why the pizza is used as symbolism. So let's do this because we got to get into the reptilian question. So propaganda has twisted serpent and reptile symbolism into fear. The reptilian agenda distracts people with reptiles underground, so you never really face the real reptile, which is your reptilian brain, that lower survival driven part of us that clings to fear, aggression, and control. In occultism, the serpent is not evil. It is the kundalini, the dragon, the shadow ego. It must be raised, integrated, and mastered. Colonization and propaganda has demonized the serpent, the feminine, and the dark because they knew these were sources of power. Pre-colonial traditions honored serpent deities. They honored underworld journeys and the dark feminine as sacred initiations. Post-colonial religion made them satanic or evil. That is the definition of spiritual warfare, to cut people from their symbols. And when you do that, you cut them from their power. Now, it's important that I veer off in this and discuss this because y'all are clearly very engulfed with this concept. And quite frankly, I'm really tired of talking about it and repeating myself about it. It's also one of the main reasons that y'all every day I reconsider what the fuck I'm doing because people don't really want to learn. And it's right here is exactly why most people never touch real transformation. And it's because people would rather chase a boogeyman than to face themselves. But that's the program, and I'm not really surprised. There's this movie that I'm always talking about called Revolver, and it beautifully and completely explains to you what the ego is. And it's why I mention it all the time because once you really get into the knowing of thyself and you start dealing with yourself and you get into that ego and that shadow work, you must learn that everything comes from within you. That's your fears, your enemies, everything. It is all a projection from you. What we have to understand is that projection is easier than reflection. Facing yourself is the hardest work that you will ever do. It takes courage to admit the shadow, the reptile, the ooze, all of it is in me. But if you project that out onto a boogeyman out there, be it reptilians, be it the elites, be it an oppressor, demons, It lets you avoid responsibility. It feels safer to fight a monster out there than to wrestle with the one in here in your own subconscious. See, fear stimulates, but truth challenges. Fear stories are addictive. The brain lights up on adrenaline, drama, and suspense. It feeds your ego. I broke this down when I talked about the zodiac and when I broke down all the houses and how it depicts a different part of you. And we talked about the ego in a sense, right? Think about it like this. If I said that I wanted you to choose between two movies, and I said the first movie is about some reptilian overlords that live underground that secretly rule in the world, or would you want to watch a story about somebody who is quietly healing and or quietly journaling them to healing? You're going to want to watch the first movie because it's more entertaining, because it gives you more of a rush, because that's what fear stories do, right? A lizard overlord chasing you is a blockbuster plot. We've seen that movie before. Quietly journaling your trauma, not so much. That's boring, right? People don't like boring. Inner transformation does not give you the same dopamine hit as a fear narrative, but it does give you freedom. That's the difference. So, a lot of this is cultural conditioning. We are trained to look for enemies and not mirrors. Colonization, propaganda, and dogma flip the symbols of wisdom. The serpent, the feminine power, all of these things have fallen or been placed specifically under the umbrella of evil. This isn't a coincidence. The subconscious is programmed to see a villain instead of a teacher, right? This is basic spiritual warfare. Distraction is a huge part of spiritual warfare. The real war is for meaning. If you stay stuck chasing an external boogeyman, then you will never reclaim your inner gnosis. You giving up your birthright. That's why fear-based narratives spread so easily, because they keep you fragmented, disempowered, and looking everywhere except inside. This is the real reasoning behind religious programming. This is why it doesn't matter about a lot of people leaving a religion. They typically are just going to go find another one, or they're going to find something else to religify and look at it through the same lens of religion. See, the hard truth is that it's more popular to sell a villain than to sell accountability. Trust me, I know this shit personally. It's hard as hell to get people that really want to transform, because people crave a simple enemy. But initiation is not simple, it's personal. So the sewer is you, the ooze is you, everything is you. There's no reptilian that's going to come and take away that work that you have to do. This is why they gave you a devil. This is why they gave you the boogeyman. Humans are myth making creatures. This is what we do. People avoid shadow work but are magnetized to conspiracy. This runs through psychology, trauma, and even archetypal fear. Why? It's avoidance of pain. Shadow work means facing the parts of yourself that hurt the most: shame, trauma, fear, regret. The nervous system resists that because it feels like death to the ego. Conspiracy, on the other hand, offers a way to channel that same anxiety outward. This is what I was saying when I watched Squid Games, the first season. I was like, so he escaped and did all this and said he was doing all this for his child. He wanted to be a better father. But in the end, he still didn't do it. He just went back because that shit was easier than to deal with his own shit inside himself of being a fucking father, or lack thereof. Because that's the real fucking work. That's the work that nobody really wants to do. People don't really want to do the fucking shadow work. So the conspiracy is a great fucking out. It's a lot easier. This is why people go back to religion even when they say they conscious and they leave it. This is why they go back, because it's so much easier to have somebody else to shoulder that shit you than for you to be accountable for your own self. Instead of admitting, I feel unsafe inside myself, it's easier to say the world is unsafe because of them. So projection is a defense mechanism. Carl Jung said everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves, but most people stop at irritation. Projection means I can't hold this truth in me, so I'll throw it on something that's outside of me. So my rage, evil elites, my fear, reptilians, my confusion, government plots. Projection is protective. It feels like clarity when in truth is displacement. This is also because of ego preservation. Shadow work threatens the ego self image. This is the ego death. It is the letting go of certain identities. The ego don't like that. It's all about identity. It says you are not who you think you are. That's terrifying to the ego. The ego prefers a story where you are the hero, where the evil is out there somewhere. Conspiracy lets the ego stay intact while creating a villain to fight. Shadow work dissolves the ego so something higher can emerge. That's why most people would rather fight ghosts than to surrender to illusions. That's why you gotta watch the movie Revolver. And conspiracies, they offer an easy narrative. There's an enemy, a plot, and a scapegoat. We love that scapegoat. This is why you have the devil. This is why we love talking about the devil so much. This is why we love religion so much. Shadow work offers us no such simplicity because shadow work says the enemy is you. The solution is hard and the path is long. So one gives an instant adrenaline rush and community outrage, while the other demands patience, solitude, and discipline. And you also have to realize a form of dark psychology manipulation or mind control is to gather everyone against a common enemy. Because if I can give you an enemy, I can control you as a group because I'm feeding you what this is about your enemy. So we don't often realize the manipulation that can be at play. So conspiracies thrive in group dynamics. People bond over shared enemies. We know the truth. They are the problem. It gives belonging, which is basic human desire when it comes to people. Shadow work by nature is solitary. Man, you got to deal with yourself. You can have guides, but no one can descend your sewer but you. So many avoid it because it feels lonely compared to the camaraderie of us versus them. But again, it's a mind control tactic. So, looking at the archetype of the boogeyman, as I said before, humans are myth making beings. Across cultures, monsters represent fears that we cannot name. So, modern conspiracy fills that same archetypal role. The reptilian or the cabal is a modern dragon. Slaying the dragon has always been code for mastering the ego and instincts. But when it's literalized, people fight shadows on the wall instead of facing the beast that's within themselves. So the esoteric truth of it all is conspiracy is attractive because it promises clarity without sacrifice. Shadow work demands both. It's easier to externalize evil than to metabolize it. But the paradox is that that boogeyman is always the mask of your own shadow. Until you claim it, is going to rule you. So the Ninja Turtles were never just a cartoon. They were a mirror. The turtles themselves are your chakras, fragments of a greater whole. Turtle Island is the earth body, the shell of endurance we all carry. Splinter whispers from the crown, while Shredder distorts the solar plexus with ego and control. April bridges the shadows like Sophia, while Casey rages as the untamed masculine. Bebop and Rocksteady stumble as our primal instincts, crude but real. The sewer is the subconscious. The exile we flush away. The ooze is trauma and melanin, the prima materia of transformation. Together, these symbols tell one truth. Your shadow is not your prison, but your initiation. And your fragments are only waiting to be remembered as wholeness. The turtles teach us that what mutates us or what mutates you doesn't have to destroy you. It actually can awaken you. So look, don't be worrying about these. Don't worry about reptilians in the sewer. The only lizard really running your life is the one sitting in your skull. And until you face your ooze and integrate your shadow, you'll always stay a slice when you were really meant to be the whole piece. That's a wrap, y'all. I'm Cosmic Paradox. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. I'm out, y'all. Peace.